Don't think you're the only one who's going through some pain. Don't think you're the only one, or who hasn't felt some shame. No, don't think you're the only one who's had hard times in their life. You're not the only one who's dealt with pain and strife. Oh yeah, you know it's like I do. The pain and trials, doubt tempted us, and deep despair. Feels like no one cares. I've been there, I've been there. You know what I've been through. Me like I do.
I am Ramon Theodore John Livingston, the oldest child of Ramon Theodore Livingston and Mary Martha Livingston, whose maiden name is Wallace. I was born January 5th, 1945, which is probably a cold winter day, at Cook County Hospital in Chicago, Illinois. I heard stories. My mother said that I would try to do everything fast, and sometimes I still try to do things too fast. Anyway, I was raised in a neighborhood in Chicago on the south side in the 30s, which was a project called Ida B. Wells. They had different sections of Ida B. Wells. They had like what they call the old projects and the new projects. I came up in the old projects, and you know, I started school at a Catholic school. But what happened is that I had a sister named Conchita, and she died at a young age. And they took me into the hospital for observation because they thought I might have the same thing. And they kept me in the observation hospital for maybe a month or two, I don't know. But when I got out, I remained in the same grade. They didn't advance me because I had missed all that time. And then I went to from a Catholic school to a public school. And this was because my mother, she didn't want to change from a Christian. She was a Christian, but she didn't want to be Catholic. She was a Methodist, and she didn't want to become a Catholic. So they had to take me out of the Catholic school and put me into a public school. I went to James R. Doolittle School, which was on 35th, right off of Cottage, or it was right off of 35th near Cottage Grove. And at James R. Doolittle School, we did a lot. We didn't do a little, we did a lot. And it was a great school to go to. My mother would send us to camp almost every summer because it eventually got to be quite a bit of us. And like she would have to have some peace and man, so she would send us to camp. I went to Dunbar Vocational High School, and I majored in electronics. I had a tailor shop, and I had a print shop, and I had a what was the name of that shop where they dealt with we made stuff out of steel, galvanized steel. I forget the name of that shop. Anyway, and then I went into my major, electronics, and I did very well in that. We used to go to parties and dances, and like we used to have a community center where we danced at. We used to dance at the Holy Angels Teen Club, and we had a center called Lincoln Center. We would go and dance. They had different activities for children and young teenagers to do back then. It was considered like poor neighborhoods, although we didn't think we were poor. You know, it was good people in those areas and neighborhoods. And like we'd go swimming. We had a park called Madden Park. We'd go swimming, and you know, sometimes it'd be so hot at night that they had a big fence around the swimming pool. We was climb the fence and sneak in the pool and swim at night. But then, you know, coming like my father, he was working at a Hot Point, I think, which was a big company.
My name is Randolph Wallace Livingston. I took my middle name from my mother's maiden name. I was born November 2nd, 1952, and grew up in the Ida B. Wells housing development. We lived in the row houses first, duplexes, and then moved to the extension, 574 East 36th Street.
My name is Sharon Livingston, the fourth child of Mary and Raymond Livingston. I grew up in Ida B. Wells, went to Doolittle Grammar School, as everyone else in my family. And while in grammar school and 8th grade, we started square dancing, which was an outlet for a lot of kids in the projects at that time. And so going to social service. So when it was time to graduate, we still wanted to dance, so we formed a club called the Promenaders. So all through high school, I was a promenader. And then once I graduated from Dunbar, there I was a cheerleader. And once I graduated from Dunbar High School, I went on to data entry.
What year did you graduate from Dunbar?
Dunbar, I graduated in 1966. Because I went to summer school to get out faster. Should have graduated in 67 on that part. So when I graduated from there, I would continue on with data entry. And then from there, I got a job with Bell & Howell. And from Bell & Howell, was there for almost 21 years. On that part, and while at Bell & Howell, I was on the softball team that the job had. On that part, most of the time we did pretty good. Only once we ran into first place, and that's only because I became manager at that time. We got first place. But Bell & Howell closed down, so I ended up with United Airlines. This is where I'm at now, today, still with United Airlines on that part.
Hey, Sharon, you remember when the square dancer when President Carter had his inauguration?
Yes.
Inauguration. You all, the teacher that taught you all were professional square dancers at that time, right? And you all were invited to the
Jimmy Carter's inauguration. That was the coldest time. We drove up there. The younger people drove in the car because they didn't have the money for the plane like the adults did. So we drove up there to Washington, D.C. And all you saw was colossal buildings, in Washington, D.C. We toured Washington, D.C., and then we also square danced there in one of the functions, because Jimmy Carter, they had so many different functions all over the place when they have an inauguration. That was a nice trip. But with square dancing, it led to many events, traveling. We always traveled to different cities and traveled to different states besides the cities in Illinois. So we traveled a lot every year to a different convention, a different state. So it opened a lot of outlets as well while being a square dancer.
You know what?
What?
I remember way back though, all you children, I used to have we used to go to the camp, Camp Algonquin.
Algonquin.
You all
Camp
swim
Wonderland.
and sports and Camp Wonderland,
Yeah.
and then you were going to Girl Scout, the boys.
Salvation Army.
Salvation Army.
Always putting on Christmas
Bible
shows.
classes and what else? Some of the boys were.
Oh,
I
don't
was
forget
a den mother for some
yeah.
of the boys in the Girl Scouts. Well, you were in practically everything. You went to Sunday school every Sunday. You took my children.
And then sometimes on the weekends we had movies at Grace Church. Renee would get the movie camera. Everybody would pay to come into the church to see the movies, Renee. On the movie projector.
Right.
We used to go over there all the time.
Yeah.
Then with our big field out there, we can roller skate, play baseball, whatever you want to.
You remember the
That
time
big
I
field.
took all of you all to St. Louis, Missouri, the ones that were born, and also to California.
Yeah.
And Sharon would
That long train ride to California.
And I never will forget though when she, see Uncle John. We were visiting my uncle there in California. He had home and had beautiful flowers in his yard, fruit trees. He would always go out there and he'd take a bowl and eat some figs. And Sharon went out there and some of the other children and dug a hole. What do y'all like mud?
Yeah, we dug
and
a
we got
hole.
into it all full of water in it.
We made our own quicksand. That's what.
I said, "Oh my goodness!" And then your brothers, I think the two older boys, Ramon and Tyrone, they used to sell newspapers out. I think in the street as the cars were coming through. I guess they was on a corner and was selling newspapers in California at that time.